Hey everyone, Blaze here. Welcome to the March anime pickups. This is going to be everything for the entirety of March. I got a lot of stuff, but not with much variety. There's actually only 4 separate things, I guess. But yeah, as I showed you in the last video, I got the Ranma stuff. So previously I had volumes 1 and 2, the collector's editions. Well, as I showed in that video, I also picked up sets 3, 4, 5 and 6. For those of you who didn't see my last video, or just read the title, these are going out of print basically. Viz haven't officially stated that, but the standard editions for all of these are coming out at the end of May. And the standard editions are basically just these. So the limited editions are basically the book, the art card, and these beautiful foil chipboard art boxes. So yeah, I wanted to get the art boxes because I had them for volume 1 and 2, and because they're absolutely beautiful. Some of the best releases Viz Media have ever done. Really amazing. And the one I didn't have in the previous video, but I do have now, I mentioned it was on order. It arrived literally about an hour ago. I've got Ranma 1/2 set 7, which completes the series at 167 episodes, isn't it? Or 63? 61, okay, 161 episodes. There or thereabouts, I was kind of close. But yeah, that completes the series on my shelf. I'm looking forward to watching this one a lot. I do know that the story is unfortunately unfinished. There is a set of movies and OVAs. I don't know if that completes the story or not. But the TV series, so far as I'm aware, is an unfinished series, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah. The movies and OVAs are out in Japan on Blu-ray as well. I don't know if and when we're going to get them. I can't remember if Viz ever officially put out the movies and OVAs. I think they did. I think the OVAs for definite. I'm not sure about the movies, though. I'm really not sure. I haven't seen those around, but they probably did. But I don't really remember them doing that. But hopefully, now that these have clearly sold well enough, you know, these are, well, I would assume anyway that these are selling well enough that they're also going to do standard editions for all of them. So yeah, I really hope that we can, perhaps this year at Anime Expo or something, you know, in one of the cons in the summer, we might hear a announcement for the movies and OVAs from Ranma coming to Blu-ray as well, because they also have gorgeous transfers just like these do. Although, saying that, the problem is Viz have really stacked their schedule, because they're obviously doing Sailor Moon, regardless of the quality. They're going to continue doing that, obviously, and they're still only about halfway through all that stuff. They've got Sailor Moon Crystal at some point as well. They've also got Hunter x Hunter, the new 2011 series. They've also got JoJo as of the last few months, although officially I don't think they have said they've got all of it, but they have pretty much confirmed they've got all the JoJo now as well. And they've got One Punch Man as well. So they've got a lot of stuff on their plate, as well as obviously Naruto still going and yada yada yada. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff for Viz, and they don't always do a lot of releases. So I don't know if they're going to be able to squeeze in Ranma movies and OVAs for Anime Expo announcement or anything, but I would like to see that a lot. So anyway, yeah, this completes, as I said, this set. And it is one of the nicest sets. I am going to store them on my shelf backwards so the colours do this like rainbow effect, which is really, really cool. And on the other side as well, I think this also looks really cool. Just really nice and colourful. You know, I do. These are some of the best sets going. As I said, they're pretty much out of print now, so or on the verge of going out of print. So if you want these, go and get them within the next month to 2 months. Otherwise, you might end up paying collector's prices for a couple of the volumes. So yeah, that's your warning. If you want them, go and get them. So that's that. Next 2 things are going to be Funimation related. A couple of years ago, now I can't believe it's a couple of years ago, but I'm pretty sure this didn't come out last year. I think it came out in 2014. I'm going to stick with it. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2014, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. My memory might not be serving me well. But yeah, Psycho Pass Season 1 came out. This ended up being one of my favourite shows ever. This was an Automata series, 22 episodes, cyberpunk, sci-fi, spectacular. It's brilliant. Brilliant series. I gave it a 10 out of 10 when I watched it first time round, because it just blew me away so much. I'd have to rewatch it to be absolutely certain with that opinion. But I really did like this. So obviously, I picked up season 2. Another thing, actually, just to go back in time for a bit, I was fortunate enough to get this released without the problems with the box, which a lot of people had, so that was cool. And yeah, this one obviously has no problems with the box, thankfully. Funimation are far gone from those days of having serious problems with their boxes. Anyway, yeah, Psycho Pass 2, it matches the first one. It's a lot smaller than the first box set. But actually the extras for this one, which is only one thing, but it's a pretty good extra because you didn't get anything like that for season 1. So yeah, you get this chipboard box with a Kane on the front. And the main bad guy, sort of, from season 2. This is only 11 episodes, season 2, hence why it's also in a smaller case. I really liked it. Other people tend to think it's not particularly great. There's a weird, almost not really a typo, just like, I don't know, it says, from the studio that brought you Ghost in the Shell, which is completely wrong. Like, Production IG, they kind of, like, I assume probably had, like, their eyes and ears over the project, but Tatsunoko Productions were actually the animation studio behind this season. This season isn't considered by fans to be actually, like, a main entry, just, like, I mean, it is, it continues on from season 1, but there was a lot of criticism for this season. Honestly, I really liked it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It wasn't quite as good as the first season, granted, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I really like this book. This is the thing you get with the premium edition. It's a nice hardcover book with loads of detail in it. Some nice art backgrounds and stuff. I'm not really showing it as well as I could, but, you know, it's a good, like, 50, 60 pages, I think. 50 pages, actually. But yeah, it's just, you know, lots of illustrations, a nice episode guide, a staff interview. Like, there's a good amount of stuff in there, so yeah. But yeah, people weren't too into this season. They didn't really like how Akane sort of changes a little bit, not dramatically, but like she's not quite the same character from the first one, like to some extent. And they didn't like the Sybil system. That's the one thing I kind of agree with. The Sybil system in season 1 is very much like up for debate. Like, it's very grey area, where in season 2 the Sybil system is painted in a very black and white sort of scenario where, yeah, Sybil system kind of comes off as just evil in this season. So yeah, people didn't really like that. It wasn't quite as up for debate as it was in season 1, but yeah. Anyway, that's Psycho Pass 2. Like I said, I really enjoyed it anyway. I don't really have the same, like, I don't really look at some stuff quite in the same way, like, as critically as others. Like, if I enjoyed it, I'll just say I enjoyed it, you know, like, yeah, it might have had some deeper problems, but honestly, like, on the face of it, like, on the surface, it was still Psycho Pass. It was still really good. I still really liked it. It's kind of how I look at things, like the same way that I gave, like, Eureka 7 AO, like, a 8 out of 10, because on the face of it, on the surface, it's still kind of Eureka 7, you know, it still has a lot of that stuff. It's got the Nearvash and the art style and the action and everything, but, you know, under the surface, it's clearly got some major problems. And maybe Psycho Pass 2, I don't think it has major problems, but yeah, on the surface, it was still more Psycho Pass, and I really enjoyed it for that. So yeah, that's that. Penultimately, we've got another Funimation Blu-ray set. We've got Ping Pong, the animation. This is the Masaki Yuasa series. This is an Oitomina series. I think it's only 11. Yeah, another 11 episode series. This tends to be the average Noitomina run. 11 episode series. But yeah, really, really crazy, nice animation for this. It's a staple of Masaki Yuasa's stuff. It's very fluid. It's kind of like a mix between abstract and lifelike. It's strange because it's, yeah, very fluid motion and with a very sketchy look to it. Really love it or hate it. I think I could see people really not liking it, but if you're a fan of animation all round, you gotta love Masaki Yuasa's stuff. I've decided to actually really get into his stuff. I knew of him. I saw some of his stuff, like, but I haven't seen all of it by any means. Like, there's a crap ton of it I haven't seen. I want to change that because I've got, like, Tatami Galaxy on my shelf. I just haven't got around to watching it because the subtitles are so fast. Because that is a show that really would have benefited from a dub, because the dialogue is ridiculously quick, and I can't read that fast. So yeah, that's one of the times where I really would have preferred a dub for that show, but unfortunately, none of we're ever going to get one. But yeah, Tatami Galaxy, Ping Pong the animation. He also did Kaiba, which is out from Siren Visual in Australia. I'd really like to get that. He did another show called Kimono Zume, which I think is a Noitomina series as well, like Kaiba. I think they're both Noitomina. I'd like to get those, or I'd like to see Kimono Zume. It's never come out in English officially. But yeah, I'd like to see that. He also did Mind Game, obviously, the film from Studio 4C. But yeah, his stuff is really good. He did an episode in season 2 of Space Dandy, which is really cool. Like this, about this fish, basically. It was cool. I don't really want to say too much else about it, other than yeah, it's cool. Like when you'll know it when you see it, sort of thing. You'll know it's his stuff if you know of him when you watch that episode. But yeah, I also watched something called Vampire Kids, like this pilot he did for this show that came out a couple of years later. You can probably find it on YouTube. It's like half an hour long. Highly recommend it. It's really funny, and then the animation is fantastic. And for 30 minutes, totally worth seeing. And yeah, anyway, so we've got Ping Pong the animation. The one thing I actually picked up, and the only thing I'm not talking about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think I like it. Funimation dubbed it, which is cool. They didn't do anything beyond this slipcover and Blu-ray case, no limited edition or anything like that. But hey, at least we get it. There is actually a UK release coming out from Anime Limited, which promises to have slightly nicer packaging, but from what I can tell, it looks like it's going to have a chipboard box, and that's about it. I don't know if they're going to include a booklet or anything. I'm not sure, but I'm quite happy with this version for the time being, and it was really cheap, so yeah. Ping Pong the animation. Okay, and finally, for the month of March, because I was lucky to even get as much as I did, because yeah, that Ranma stuff was freaking expensive. But unfortunately, I did sell some stuff on eBay, which funded at least 3 of those volumes, which really helped. One of the other things that got sort of funded from a sale, but still, this was ridiculously expensive. I'm just going to actually quickly pull down this stuff over here, because it's relevant to what I'm about to talk about. So we got my Ghost in the Shell collection. If you remember my anime collection video from last year, which by the way, I'm coming up very soon to be doing the update for 2016, because I did last year on May the 5th, so I'm probably going to do it around that time again this year as well, although the collection hasn't changed dramatically. But anyway, last time I only had this, so within the last year I've picked up all of this, which is Ghost in the Shell 2.0, which I have now watched, and wow, what a way to destroy a good movie. Yeah, all the additions they made to that are terrible. But I did enjoy seeing it. I don't regret having that at all. It was a good experience. And, well, not a good experience, but an interesting experience. Anyway, they've got Standalone Complex Season 1. And then I've got the 3 Standalone Complex movies. We've got the OVA sequel, I think. And then we've got the 2 movie compilations for the seasons. I don't have Season 2 on Standalone Complex yet. Plan to get it. And I've also got the first half of the Arise movies. I don't have Part 2 yet. But I have added a new addition to the Ghost in the Shell collection, obviously. And it was... it was an interesting addition to the collection in some ways, because it was super expensive for what it is. In the UK, you can buy this movie... on Blu-ray for about £3. It's very much still in print and very cheap, but it wasn't going to fit in the collection aesthetically, you know, like it would look really out of place because it's in a much wider case with BBFC ratings. It's just very different in design and completely. So I'd always wanted to get the American version, but the American version was very much out of print. What am I talking about? Of course, I'm talking about Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence on Blu-ray. This is the American Bandai Entertainment release. This is hella expensive. But I saw this going on sale. That was kind of the thing. I put off getting this film because I wanted this version, and I was hoping for it to get either relicensed from like a Funimation or something, because I don't think Manga Entertainment, at least in America anyway, had anything to do with this, unlike the first film. So I really thought like Funimation or anyone else might, see this as a very worthwhile license, but it never happened. But anyway, I saw this going cheap. That was kind of the idea. I wanted to cheap relatively. Like, this was still expensive, but it was cheap compared to what this normally goes for these days, which is above $100 easily. I got it for just think it was about $80, which is a ridiculous sum of money to pay for a less than 2 hour movie. You can get this on Blu-ray from around the world, like in Korea, Hong Kong, Japan, for a lot less, and it has very similar packaging, but it doesn't include the English dub, which is the main reason why I wanted this edition, because it also has the English dub. Anyway, so I picked it up. I saw it going for a good price. I did have the money. I decided I'm probably not going to see it go for this price for a very, very long time. I'm going to pull the trigger on it, and then I've got it. I never have to worry about buying it ever again. I'm never going to sell it. Like the Ghost in the Shell collection will always be in my collection. So it's one of those things, though. It wasn't a purchase I think I was ever going to regret once I'd gotten used to not having the money it cost for, whatever. But anyway, so we got Ghost in the Shell to Innocence, and I have watched it. I watched it in an afternoon. I watched Ghost in the Shell 2.0 for the first time, and then immediately watched sort of the sequel. And yeah, it's an interesting film. Obviously, this entry in the Ghost in the Shell franchise. Sorry for the kids outside. This entry was basically kind of forced upon Mamoru Oshii, who I'm pretty sure directed it. Yes, he did. I just wanted to make sure of that because that's what I'd heard. I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, Mamoru Oshii directed it, and yeah, he sort of forced his hand. Like production IG was like, "Hey, the anniversary's coming up. Why don't you make a sequel?" So he did. Like, I don't think he really wanted to. I don't think a sequel was ever needed. Like the first film stands on its own just fine. But this takes place 6 months later, and it's pretty good. Like, it's got Mamoru Oshii's touch. It's got the very complicated story, the thriller with like not really political elements, but sort of plays out in a way that a political thriller might. And yeah, it's also got the very nice art design, the cyberpunk stuff. It's a digital series film, obviously compared to the first one, which was done on traditional cell. It still looked really, really cool. I liked it, but it's not as good as the first one. My favourite sequence of the film is the one that's on the cover. It's like a 10-minute sequence in this mansion where very much mind games are going on. You're not quite sure exactly what's going on, but it plays out really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, and that's everything for the month of March. I can't believe 4 pickups took 17 minutes, but it did. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I've got, like I say, I've got the anime collection video coming in early May to look forward to. And I will eventually be doing April pickups. I'd like to do some anime unboxings, but I always promise these things and very rarely produce them. So anyway, I've been Blaze. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. The Viz Media special edition releases of Ranma are going to start going out of print very soon. About a month ago, some non-mainstream DVD, Blu-ray retailers online started delisting Volume 1 and Volume 2.